Mel Kiper Jr. is with us, and he has just released his first mock draft of the year. It's available right now on ESPN+. And certainly at the top, not a surprise. Trevor Lawrence, the #1 pick, giving Jacksonville the starting quarterback that it needs. And then the next quarterback off the board is not Justin Fields, but it's BYU's Zach Wilson. Mel has him going 4 to the Falcons. Atlanta coming off a 4-12 season. And then Fields is next. He has him going 7 overall to the Lions. So 3 quarterbacks in the top 7 picks of this mock draft. We know that Matthew Stafford is on his way out of Detroit. And overall, Mel with 5 quarterbacks in the first 15 picks of the first mock draft, including Trey Lance to the Panthers at 8 and Mac Jones to the Patriots at 15. He has the Heisman winner DeVonta Smith going number 2 overall to the Jets. So let's come out and talk about it. And Let's start, I guess, with what I think will be one of the most interesting questions here. Mel, why Zach Wilson ahead of Justin Fields in that very close battle to be the second quarterback?
Had to go with somebody, had to make a call, and I went back and forth on it, and I felt like Zach Wilson came in without that subpar game where Justin had a couple. Go back to Indiana, Northwestern. So I just went with a guy who had a phenomenal season, arm strength, release, accuracy, mobility, athleticism, smarts. He has all that. And he's still very young. You know, he's not 24, 25 coming out of BYU like some players are. He's in that 21, 22 area. So you think about Zach Wilson just slightly ahead of Justin Fields, who I think still goes in that top group, but drops down just a bit. We may have some trade activity, which I'm not projecting. You never know about that. Teams always in late April go after those quarterbacks hard. So we'll see. But I think Zach Wilson comes off the board just slightly ahead of Justin Fields.
And again, these drafts tend to be remembered for and defined by the quarterbacks, and you have 5 of them going in the first 15 picks, Mel.
Right. And Mac Jones is going to be interesting because New England with Tom Brady, you think about Alabama, Mac Jones, Belichick, Saban connection, not great athleticism, not great mobility. That's Mac Jones, but tremendous accuracy to all levels. So I saw some reason to believe that Belichick may see a little Brady in Mac Jones coming out. And I like that Saban-Belichick connection. Probably makes too much sense, but I think Mac Jones goes somewhere between that 15 and that where you talk about Washington at 19. You get into Indy, those types of teams, Pittsburgh, all could be looking at maybe at Mac Jones.
Yeah, let's see which of those teams wind up making quarterback moves between now and April. Yeah. That'll have a lot to do with it as well. Deshaun Watson, Matt Stafford, and others, their futures up in the air. Now, Jeff, to sort of keep it in a serious way, because earlier we had a little fun with the idea that you don't like the idea of receivers going as early in the draft as Mel has them. He has one projected at 2 and one projected at 3. But in a serious way, do you believe that's too high to take a wide receiver in the NFL draft?
No, I do. And listen, all jokes aside, but you've seen so many receivers. I mean, think about the way Pittsburgh has kind of developed players and developed receivers. There are so many good receivers who can come in and help a system. And I do agree that the Jets need to help Sam Darnold, especially if that's the direction they stay. But in my opinion, protecting him with an offensive lineman, rusher, whatever you can get. But from a receiver perspective, it's just hard for me to think a guy going 2 is going to have that much effect on the football team and the nucleus of a football team. It is just a difficulty for me to buy into. Again, if there weren't so many good ones who you can put in so many different offenses and different systems, because again, Mel brought up the point, they do it from high school on now. It's not like they have to develop very much. They are ready when they come in. So for me, I would push them down or trade out of it to get more picks as opposed to taking a receiver at 2.
It's a bigger picture conversation that perhaps we can have another time, Mel. Let me get Marcus in here, though, on the quarterbacks, because, again, the draft is always defined and remembered for the quarterbacks. Put Trevor Lawrence in a different category. We all know he's going number 1. If you, Marcus Spears, needed a quarterback for your team and the rest of them were on the board, which one do you love?
Justin Fields, and it's because of his athletic ability, the ability to get out of trouble while you're developing. We see it happening with a lot of quarterbacks. Lamar is still developing. We looked at Mitchell Trubisky. He was drafted because of athleticism. And now I'm not using that example how things turned out, but that was a big pull for Mitchell Trubisky with the Chicago Bears, is that he had that athletic ability. I've seen Justin Fields play in big games and have a lot of success as well. So I would bet on that. I don't mind the Zach Wilson being ahead. I understand Mel's thinking. For me, Justin Fields would be that guy. Measurables, athletic ability, and can still win games while developing because of that athletic trait, like we saw Justin Herbert this year.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.